The world is a scary place. My sister and I were talking mainly about my dad, who passed away 28 years ago, and about how hardcore he was. Um, and her reason was, yeah, he lived in a scary time, a lot of scary times. And I guess he did. Born in 1925, he pretty much grew up in the Great Depression. Uh, he didn't have a dad. So him and his brother started working, had to get out of school and work to help, pay for the house they lived in from eighth grade on. Uh, Worked as a machinist apprentice from the age of 14, and then went to World War II, where he fought in several campaigns in Japan, Okinawa, Saipan, quite a few. Came back from World War II, and I guess after that, life got a lot better in the United States. But regardless, he still worked 10 to 12 hours a day most of his life, up until he retired when he was 62. So he didn't have an easy life, any part of it. I guess he made a decent living. He was a machinist through the 50s and schooled himself and got an engineering degree. And by the 60s, became a mechanical engineer at the same place he worked at when he was a machinist apprentice. He spent his whole life working there, besides the 4 years he spent in the Marine Corps. So by any stretch, he was successful. I mean, he did well, raised myself and my two brothers and sister. But he was always frugal. He was always, you don't throw food out. You don't, there's a lot of things that people take for granted now. And I think it was his early years, growing up lean, going to war, and then, you kind of, it sets a certain mindset for the rest of your life. The reason I bring it up is, you hear people saying now the world's a scary place. And I don't know, maybe it is. Depends what perspective you look at it, how you look at it. But I don't think you let fear control you. I think if you do, you're just going to fall apart. You can only control yourself and what you do with circumstances. You can't control these circumstances. So what's going on around you, you can't let it control you, and you can't let it scare you. You have to figure out a way to deal with it, and deal with it the best you can. But the minute you get, let fear get the grip on you, and that leads to panic, and panic leads to, in a lot of cases, really bad stuff. And with the prices, you can't control the prices, but you can damn sure control what you buy. I've been doing that. I mean, since food's been going through the roof, I've literally changed my diet. Depending on what's on sale and depending on what wave the eggs are on. But I mean, there for a while, eggs were $7. I didn't eat eggs anymore. I just completely stopped eating eggs. They dropped down to $2.99. I started buying them again. And that's what I've done with a lot of different food. I try to eat healthy. I don't like eating a bunch of junk or a bunch of sugar. But I've swayed a couple times off the healthy path just because, stuff got so ridiculously high. I mean, I'll probably never eat a ribeye steak again as long as I live, because I actually feel stupid paying $16 a pound for red meat. I mean, to me, that it doesn't even seem intelligent. I've actually tried different cuts of meat that I never tried before in my life, and they're pretty good. Like top sirloin was $7.99 a pound, and if you tenderize it, it's pretty damn tasty. But you can't control the prices, but you can control what you spend money on, and you can cut things out. There's a lot of people spend a lot of money on a lot of stuff that they don't need. I mean, I do, and I've cut way back. And it isn't even so much that I'm running out of money. It's just I don't feel smart spending money on some of this stuff. It actually makes you feel like kind of dumb when you spend money, so much money on something it's not worth it, and at some point inflation, the level where inflation is, and then the level where they're just taking it higher because they can, and because people keep buying it, it just keeps going up, and it doesn't have to. It's just corporate greed at some point. It goes from inflation to corporate greed. And I implore people to don't buy stuff. I mean, don't buy anything if you don't have to. Maybe it'll make prices go down a little. It's crazy what the cost of some things are. It really is. We can learn a lot from my father's generation. Like I said, looking back and growing up in that house, we didn't waste anything. And like I said, my dad made a decent living. I know he did. We weren't wealthy, but he made a decent living. But we didn't waste anything. My dad, one of my favorite things was if you ate a piece of chicken and put the bone on the plate, he would pick the bone up, stick it in his mouth and suck on it and pull it out, and you get the marrow too. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know what the marrow was. I'm like 6 years old or something. But anyway, you didn't waste things. If you took a part off a car, you were fixing a car in a driveway and you took the old part off, you didn't throw the old part out. You might be able to do something with it. You might be able to fix the old part. There was never waste. Never, when you take the old part off the car, don't break it taking it off. It might be savable. There was no waste in any way. And I don't see a lot of that today. I mean, I see guys working on cars. I broke, 6 bolts taking this. I broke this. I broke that. I got it off though. Well, there's ways to take stuff apart without ripping, everything to shreds. I still believe that. I mean, maybe it's because of the way I was raised, but I also hate ripping crap to, all shredding it up, taking it apart too. I think another thing, in his time, people communicated. There was a lot more community. Now community is Facebook and social media, which is not the same. People got together, whether they liked each other or not, they were together, and that was good. You can't just be around people you like all the time. I mean, what do you learn from that? Just being around people that agree with you all the time. It's good to be around other people. It's healthy. So, I mean, I think that was good too. That's something we need to bring back. I think. On my first video, I still stand by we don't need to give up on trying to unite the people of this nation. That's the only way we're going to get our government in control. We still have to do that. The other thing we need to think about is whatever these tough times bring upon us, they're going to make us stronger and smarter. We're going to learn. Hey, okay, it's tough times. Life isn't going to just be, smooth as silk your whole life, no matter what generation you grow up in. I mean, actually, for me, it's been pretty smooth. But things get rough sometimes. I mean, imagine living in the 1800s, with no power, no nothing. Those people did fine. They made it. I guess their life expectancy was less, but that's mostly because they didn't have the medical knowledge they do now. I've heard that back then, a lot of times doctors operated with dirty tools. You know, that was a lot of people died from infection. Uh, but these, you know, when times get rough, the positive way to look at it is you're going to learn. You're going to learn. You're going to get smarter. You're going to get stronger. I think that you know, it's not really bad. I mean, you know, maybe it's uncomfortable, but I've said before too, you know, discomfort, you know, isn't bad for you. It's probably better for you than comfort all the time. Anyway, I thought it was interesting, you know, a little bit about my dad and his generation, comparing it to this generation, especially when he was born 100 years ago, you know, this year. It's strange how fast time goes, you know. I mean, 100 years, you know. And I try to think back, 1925, you know, and look a little bit at what was going on then and how people lived then. It's pretty neat to look at the differences. I look at cars because I'm a car guy, you know, and I just the evolution of the car, which now all it is, you know, cars in the last 20 years. The only thing that's the evolution is how much bigger the computer is in the dashboard. But they were really making differences, you know, through the years back then, mechanically, technology wise. And anyway, I just hope you know, everybody still thinks about working on their uniting with people because it's important. Try to stay off social media. And get face to face with people. I think that helps. I think it makes you stronger also. Anyway, thanks for watching.